Half-Life Alyx vs Boneworks is a debate I've thought about a lot recently, and I decided to make this video because I think there are not that many other videos on YouTube that are going to try to break it down like I am. Any of the videos on this topic are mostly showing gameplay or comparing individual parts of the games, like physics or interaction, and while those are all important factors in deciding which game is better, I want to combine all of them into one video, and I'll do it quick. Gameplay is probably the most important part of a game. If the gameplay is too complex or too simple, it can ruin the whole experience. Alyx gameplay is simple, and it's very rare that I find myself feeling like it's too easy.
How interesting. Just look at that.
The only circumstances that I felt disappointed by the simplicity of it is in climbing through small places and jumping. Both of these mechanics I think people commonly get motion sickness on in VR, so it makes sense to add an option to remove these mechanics and go with the teleportation they implemented. But to fully remove them seems a bit limiting. Keep in mind, I love these games, so there's going to be mostly nitpicks, but they're still worth mentioning. Know what else is worth mentioning? The simplistic combat. The combat in Alyx is boiled down to just shooting. Granted, there are a couple of guns, but it doesn't even come close to the combat in Boneworks. While the animations are more refined in Alyx, the characters react a lot less. But this does make some sense because of how strong the Columbine are. But I'll leave this one up to you. The final thing I have to talk about is puzzles. The puzzles in Half-Life Alyx get harder as the game goes on. I really enjoy these puzzles and their futuristic feel. The only thing I don't like about the puzzles is how repetitive they are. There are about 6 different puzzles, which sound like a lot, but in reality, some of them use much more than others, giving it a very repetitive feel. But overall, Alyx gameplay is easy to understand, lots of fun, but has some big flaws holding it back. I give it a 7 out of 10. Boneworks, on the other hand, is very complex. The whole game is physics-based, which can add a lot of depth to its combat. It has guns, melee weapons ranging from shovels to bats to knives, and much more. I don't want to talk for too long, so I'll sum up its combat here. It's much more complex and allows for longer lasting fun because of its complexity. There's just so much to do and try out, it's insane. Now, for the criticism. Boneworks has some issues with its lack of polish. Because of its physics-based system, this adds room for much more bugs and glitches to appear. Let's talk about that. Glitch 1. Glitch pulls. I genuinely have no explanation for this. I don't know why it does this. I don't know what this monstrosity is. Please help me. I am forever stuck in a loop of this pull. The second glitch is glitching to the ground. I genuinely have no idea why it did this. I couldn't figure out one of the last puzzles in the game, so when trying to lift this up, I decided, what if I just squash myself? And instead of dying, I just went through the ground, and that was my solution to the last puzzle. You're welcome. The third glitch is just stuff bugging out. This will be a short and sweet one. I'll probably show a video of just stuff not working correctly. I don't know why this happens. Probably because physics and stuff.
I never asked for this.
And the fourth and final glitch here, we have the climbing. Now, the climbing in this game is really good, honestly. I really like it. There's a lot of creative things they did with it, but there's also a lot of not great or creative things they did with it. Basically, sometimes you'll just be climbing, and you'll just get caught on yourself, or just something will happen. You have no explanation for it. It just kinda happens sometimes. Yeah, you know, it just kinda happens. Finally, the puzzles. The puzzles in Boneworks are really good, and I think they're much better and just more creative in general than Alyx. Granted, the whole game is physics-based, which allows for a lot more creativity with the puzzles, but still, the puzzles are bigger, better, and less repetitive than Alyx's. Overall, Boneworks gets a 9 out of 10 in... While graphics are not as important as gameplay, they still play a prominent role in making a good game, especially in VR. If the graphics are horrible or the performance is really bad, it can make the game near unplayable. Boneworks graphics are fine, but nothing special. Decent lighting and good textures, but it doesn't really stand out. It's kind of boring, to be honest, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with them, but they also don't really impress me. Also, I just wanted to say that the graphics kind of fit the style because you're in a game. I don't know, it's complicated. But granted, I haven't played the full game on the highest settings because of its performance. And that's the main thing I wanted to touch on here, the performance. It's something Boneworks struggles with. For example, I have an RTX 2070 and an RX 3700, and if you're not a computer person, that means absolutely nothing to you. That's a pretty beefy PC. Not the best, but pretty high-end. And with that PC, I haven't had too many issues, but I've definitely heard some stories from people with lower-end PCs. But for another example, my friend with the GTX 1660 played the game just fine, so I'm really not sure. I think the best way to describe it would be inconsistent. The performance is inconsistent. So, final thoughts. The Boneworks graphics are fine and kind of fit the style, but have some issues with performance. Boneworks gets a 6 out of 10 in graphics. Alyx graphics are just amazing. There's pretty much nothing else I can say here. It's the best graphics we've ever seen in a VR game. Amazing lighting, amazing textures, amazing everything. Even performance. It plays very well, nice. Even on a 1060, the bare minimum for VR. And the difference between the low and the max settings, it's barely even noticeable. It's just lighting changes and minor texture quality. There's just nothing negative I can say here. The graphics look amazing, run amazing, feel amazing. 10 out of 10. The best we've ever seen in a VR game. Last but not least, content. While this may seem unimportant at first, it should be something you're really thinking about in the buying process. It's the difference between forgetting about a game in a week and having that game to play for years. Alyx has a decent amount of content, a kind of replayable story mode, and, well, actually, that's about it. I could mention the Steam Workshop, but then we're going into modding, and I just don't want to do that because I haven't played any of the mods, and we're just trying to stay in the base game here. Anyways, the campaign will last anywhere from 8 hours if you don't really mess around much, or if you're like me, it could take up to 16 hours. This is decent for what you pay, but I don't know, it's cool to mess around and to admire the beauty for replayability, but it's just not great for content. I give it a 6.5 out of 10. For Boneworks, I'm just going to show you a visual representation of just how much content there is in this game. So, if you're not a JoJo fan and that made absolutely no sense to you, I'm basically saying this game has so much content. A campaign mode that's as replayable as Half-Life Alyx, a sandbox mode with multiple different maps, ways to unlock more items, an arena mode with a bunch of different arenas, a zombie mode now. There's just way too much to do in this game. You can get hundreds of hours out of it, and it's not just filler. Sure, some of it is like getting all the items, but if you just tinker with your save file a bit like I did, you can get all the items without having to do anything. And I still have like 50 hours in this game. And I'm not even close to bored. I just don't have enough time. Honestly, I could play this game all day if my quest didn't die. So, in conclusion, Boneworks gets a 10 out of 10 content. The final scores are with Half-Life Alyx coming in at a 23.5, and Boneworks barely squeaking it out, beating it with a 24 because of its great gameplay, great content, but being dragged down some by its bad performance. So, yeah, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me in the comment section if you think Half-Life Alyx is better, or tell me if you agree with me. I don't know, man. I spent a lot of time on this video. I hope you guys like it. I don't know, I just felt like the need to make this after Googling this and seeing that there's only about 2 actual videos on it, and they were both like really long and just really unnecessary and mostly just gameplay. I wanted to break it down and make it into one good, concise video, and I hope I did my job well. Hope you had fun watching, and I'll see you guys later.